First up today, we wanted to talk about Sam Hauser. So health is going to be a concern for the Celtics down the stretch here. We'll get into that more a little bit later. Hauser goes down last week with a sprained ankle. We were a little bit worried. Obviously, he was having his career night against the Wizards. When this happened, was on pace to break the Celtics' individual game 3-point record. Misses a couple games, comes back, does not miss a beat. And Greg, we've been talking a lot about weaponizing Sam Hauser. He's so lethal with that 3-point shot. And the fact that he's been able to hold up on defense has left him available for Joe Mazzulla in a bunch of ways. And I know he had some thoughts on it. So I don't know if you want to play this clip first or if you wanted to,
let's go
jump in here. So let's go to this clip from Joe Mazzulla to start us off.
This is from Sam Hauser, not Joe.
Or from Sam Hauser, sorry.
Teammates are finding me, when I'm open and trying to get into windows and try to set myself up for success as well, and being a little more aggressive, coming off screens, running behind a guy in transition for them to flip it back, things like that. So just trying to find my place and, be a star in that role.
Yeah, and I love that Sam started talking about, just feeling comfortable in the role and other guys looking for him, because that's something that on this pod we've been talking a lot about, is the other guys on the team being aware of how much of a weapon Sam Hauser can actually be, right? And over the last month or so, post All-Star break, the numbers are ridiculous. If we can pull them up here as I'm talking here, Will. If you take a look at Sam Hauser's post All-Star break numbers, they're just absolutely ridiculous. He's shooting, let's see, from the left corner, he's shooting 60%. From the right corner, he's shooting 60%. Above the break, he's shooting 51%. And all those numbers obviously lead to Sam Hauser being one of the best movement 3-point shooters in the entire league. I know, Adam, you tweeted about that. Of all the role players in the league, Sam Hauser's got to be top 2, top 3 movement shooters in the league right now. And there's so much that he's doing on the offensive side of the ball with his footwork, his ability to escape dribble off of shot fakes when people are closing out hard on him. He just looks great. He looks comfortable. And as he said, he's feeling like a star in his role. And I totally agree with that.
First of all, in his comment where he said, I'm just trying to find windows, I've really wanted him to say I'm trying to find walls because I've got sweat dripping down my balls. In terms of play style, I think the only thing that I'd add to what Greg said there was his timing's really good in terms of knowing when to sink into gaps, when to lift out of gaps and into, come off the screen if somebody's setting a pin down. He's really good at just reading where those windows he's trying to find are going to be and using those screens as walls so then he can catch and shoot balls. Sorry, I've really kind of stuck to this bit now. I think he's been great. I think in terms of adding to his game, he's added that kind of dribble drive to attack the closeout. I'd still like to see that 1 or 2 dribble long mid-range pull-up as a weapon, just so where he can kind of attack a defense in 2 or 3 different ways when they do close out hard to him. But all season long, he's been great. I know that Joe Mazzulla said they don't really run too many plays for Sam. What they do run is they run him off floppy sometimes. And then a lot of the times it is just wide pin downs, or they'll use him as a decoy in a stack offense, which is just a Spain pick and roll. Outside of that, he is mainly just a release valve. And I think when you look at what he can do off the catch when he's on the move, as we saw in that, I think it was his second bucket where you had that Al Horford DHO and he kind of curled over, took a step, squared his hips, and then just fired a rainbow 3 against Chicago. He's just cash money. Whenever he sees daylight, he's just cash.
Funny you say that, Adam. We got that clip pulled up here, so let's go ahead and show that clip. I think you also may have tweeted about this as well, but this is a great play here where Sam's talking about his teammates looking for him and trying to fill in spots. With this play here, they're almost using Tatum as a decoy in this play to let Sam Hauser get off that dribble handoff with Al Horford. I think this is the right one.
But obviously that dreadful start has them behind the 8 ball. Here is Hauser using the Horford screen for 3.
Yeah, Kobe's got to stay with him.
That was the one.
That's the one. That's the one. And one thing I really like about Sam, and we talked about this on the last pod, with the ability to flip plays. And, some players have tendencies where, if you look at Peyton Pritchard's right corner versus left corner numbers, like he shoots way better from one versus the other. And with Sam, those numbers are so consistent because his footwork is so consistent going both ways. his ability to stay on balance, either going left or going right off of pin downs, is truly elite. Because if you think about most players, they prefer to come off the screens off of their left shoulder. Like JJ Redick, he's talked about a lot about how he would come off his right shoulder a lot because it was the only way that he could really get his shot off, having such short arms. But that's not normal, right? Most right-handed players, there's a lot more rhythm coming off your left shoulder versus coming off your right shoulder. So we just showed Sam coming off his left shoulder, and here's an example of Sam coming off the right.
Give him a headband, he might look like Russo.
Yeah. Hauser, man, that is just as smooth. You give him that little off the screen, little curl action, catch and shoot, that's dangerous.
And his ability just to square up anytime he's coming off the right, like, it's really hard to stay on balance. If you see a lot of guys when they go coming off the right, even if it's a mid-range shot, that's where you see that leg kind of swing out, where a lot of guys end up getting called for the offensive foul, because it's a very natural motion for you to have to make up and square your shoulders in the air. Right. A lot of guys have to square their shoulders in the air, so that right leg kicks out to square the shoulders. Sam gets square before he even elevates, which is like a very rare thing to do. So just shout out Sam. He's absolutely killing it right now, and the guys are looking for him.
I just want to note that coming off that left shoulder, there's just that one extra step that he takes kind of to get himself in a position to square his feet. So he'll take one step coming off the right, but then if you rewatch the left, he does seem to take two steps just so he can. On that second step, he's already turning his body in. So when he does plant his feet, he's completely square and ready to go. So it's not just balance. It's also a really good understanding of body mechanics and energy transfer, knowing that that extra step and that twist is already loading him up to release, because he's used that extra step. He needs to get his shot off a little bit quicker. Yeah,
and just to the point of him being elite, I got a couple of stats here just that reinforce the point of how elite Sam has been. So on catch and shoot threes this year, with above 5 attempts per game, there's 16 guys in the NBA that shoot more than 5 catch and shoot threes. Number one in the league, take a wild guess. Steph Curry, 5.6 attempts per game, 44%. Number 2, Malik Beasley, 5.2 attempts per game, 43.7. And number 3, Sam Hauser, 5 attempts per game, 43.4%. So literally one game away from being the league leader in catch and shoot threes, over 5 per game. Sam Hauser is, the season that he's had, and I was thinking about this as we've had conversations recently, as we look to the playoffs, we always talk about that top 6, right? Like that's the basically starting unit plus Al. We talk about them as like their own separate thing, and then we have the rest of the bench. I think we might need to start just putting Sam Hauser in that front group, because as we talk about, and we're going to get into Peyton Pritchard here and the run that he's on, we've talked about Luke, we've talked about Tillman. I think those other 3 guys are all going to have some series where, like we've talked about, they play or they don't play, or they play a little bit less. Like Sam's locked it. Sam's playing every single night, every single game that the Celtics have, because he's so versatile. And when you look at some of the Celtics 5-man lineups, so if you filter it for a minimum of 75 minutes that they've played throughout the season here, the 2 top net ratings for lineups both feature Sam Hauser. And the thing that stands out to me, so the first one is Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser, basically the bench unit plus the 2 starters, which has been a pretty normal part of Mazzulla's rotation. They played 91 minutes together, 124.7 on offense, 90.9 on defense, 33.8 net rating for the season. And then there's Al Horford, KP, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Sam Hauser. They've played 78 minutes this year. 116 offensive rating, 93.5 defensive rating, 22.5 net rating. And just what sticks out to me is Sam is being effective with those are 2 very different lineups, right? There's no crossover in those lineups as far as other players other than Sam. So Sam is extremely versatile in the lineups that he can be used. And that effectiveness is what I think puts him in that category of, there's a top definitive 7 that night in, night out, I don't care who the opponent is, Sam is going to be in there because he is that level of shooter and is in that category of type of guy that you can weaponize night in and night out.
Absolutely. I have a clip here pulled up from the post-game conference last night where people are asking Joe Mazzulla about Sam Hauser's impact. So I just want to go ahead and pull that up here.
23s in the last 3 games, which is awesome. Franchise record. Yeah. Like
he's made?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
In the last 3 games that he's played in. Is that just him and his development, a comfort, a heater? I
think it's just a comfort level of knowing that his teammates are looking for him. I think that's really what it is. And you give him the ball if you look at most of his threes, they're really good passes, timely passes into his shot. So I think it's really just that comfort level that he knows he's going to get open and he knows the guys are going to see him.
Yeah, Will, to your point, just like Mazzulla and the lineups that he's able to use Hauser in, it doesn't really matter who he's playing with because all the guys on the court understand that Sam is a weapon whenever he's out there and everybody is looking for him. Well, I saw you smirking as Mazzulla was talking. Is it just like Joe-isms?
Yeah, it's just so I was watching. I've watched that clip a couple times this morning, and there's the part where he goes 20 makes. Okay, cool. And it just I don't know why it makes me think of like the cool, like the guy in high school who's like too cool, so he's just like oh cool. Like I don't know why it's been making me laugh all morning, and especially where I was, regardless of X's and O's, I was kind of out on Joe's personality or lack thereof personality last year. And I've done a complete flip on that this season, and him just being able to be himself more. And I don't know, that little version of just, oh, cool. 20? Oh, cool. I don't know why.
It's the looks he gives, when he squints and like he looks at you like, just that like I smell shit face.
The meerkats squint.
Yeah, he's like, I smell shit face. Like, and you're like, why are you so upset, Joe? Like, someone's just speaking to you, bro. Is it too far away? But
so good.
No, I've got back to Hauser. He's a weapon. I think that whenever you've got somebody that can score not only off the move but on the catch from any spot on the floor, perimeter based, they're going to be an issue for you as a defense because you have to guard that driving kick, you have to guard that passing lane, and he's not the only perimeter scoring threat out there, which just makes life 10 times more difficult. One of the things I do want to shout out this podcast for is being the first podcast to ever interview Sam Hauser. I think that people sleep on us for that shit. Like you need to remember, man, what we did. But other than that,
put some respect on our name.
You know what I'm saying? Put some respect. Oh, so no, it's an English joke. You won't get that. Other than that, yeah, I think the Sam Hauser's been great.
Adam, I wanted to pull up one more clip here for you. You did a whole thing on the Celtics chin actions, right? So I think one of the things with Sam is with the different lineups that he's able to play in, he can function on so many different spots on the court, right? He can be a floor spacer. He can be a movement shooter. As you mentioned, the stack pick and roll. I wanted to pull up this clip here from one of the chin actions that happened the other night where, they're in that little traditional horn setup. They enter the ball to the elbow. And then normally what you see there is the ball handler is going to get a screen from the weak side big man, right? Or weak side elbow man. And Hauser does a really nice job countering this action here. Normally you would cut off of it. I just want to pull this up here for a couple things. And also everyone listening on the pod, I know we're playing a lot of clips. So this episode is on YouTube. If you want to see all the plays that we're talking about, make sure that you're subscribing to our YouTube channel, especially these episodes where we have a little bit more time to pull up some of these clips.
At around 60%. Hauser with a step back, long gun, it goes. And that was the beauty.
Chin reject.
Yeah, it's just a great counter there. And then when he comes off the handoff with Cornette, right? I think it was Fournier flies at him and he's able just to escape dribble. And you mentioned his ability to create space and especially going left, that extra step that he takes, he creates like 8 to 10 feet of space anytime he escape dribbles, which is something that every good shooter needs to kind of have in their bag. It's something that Duncan Robinson's worked really hard on over the years. And I think Sam Hauser is starting to reach that point where I think it's a very legit argument. Who would you rather have on your team as just a pure shooter, Duncan Robinson or Sam Hauser? I'm probably partial to Sam Hauser just because, we are a Celtics podcast. Duncan Robinson does a lot of great stuff for the Heat, and he's definitely a problem and someone you have to worry about. But I think that's a very real conversation now.